So thank goodness Brandon told us to get out when we did, because shortly after we did, it completely collapsed. We rode out this hotel near the restaurant where we have been eating dinner is now underwater. The docks are underwater as well. Some of the balconies have blown off. Some of the balconies are hanging on by a thread, and I'm sure when we get this second round, sort of the tail end of the eye, I don't think these balconies are really going to make it. Brian and I have not been able to get inside our rooms, so we don't know the damage inside our rooms in terms of flooding. I tried to walk upstairs to my room, and there was so much debris covering the hallway, and the wind was also very strong. I couldn't really quite make it there. There was a truck as well that was parked about 20 feet away, and then the storm pushed it all the way up. And like I said, the damage is like something I've never seen before, and this is just at a resort. I don't even know what the rest of the island looks like. Calvin and Nicole, one thing I really want to let you guys know and everyone at the station know is that Brian and I are okay. I believe they're watching right now, but you can let my mom and dad know I'm okay, and let Brian's wife know that he's okay as well. We are hanging on, but this is incredible, and people walking out, looking around, there are tears in their eyes because they just know that the rest of the island must look devastating. So the hotel staff, they actually went room by room, because some people did decide to ride out the storm in their room, and they went room to room to tell them that they cannot ride the rest of the storm out in their rooms. They have to be in the bunker for the rest of the storm because it's just too dangerous. Some of these rooms are just not going to hold up. This is devastating for Marsh Harbor's residents.
There's no doubt about that. And Janice, if we could bring Brian Norcross into this, because we understand that the worst of it is not over, right, Brian?
Right, Janice. So I want to be sure that everyone there is aware that when this comes, it's going to come from the other direction completely. So you had mostly winds out of the north before. Now they're going to come mostly out of the south. So, you know, what kept you safe before is not going to keep you safe this time, because the wind is going to come from the other direction. So when we've had people injured in hurricanes in the past, quite often it's come because they haven't realized that the danger is going to come from the other way. So if you could be sure for yourself and for Brian and for everybody at the hotel that they know you kind of got to get to the other side of the strong parts of the structure, so that you have as many walls as you can between you and the south direction as opposed to the north direction. Does that make sense, Janice?
No, yes, it does. And actually, Brian, my photographer, Brian, is aware of that. He's covered storms like this. He actually told me, though, he's never seen one this horrible. But the wholesale staff is aware, and that's why they're telling everyone to go inside this room, because they just don't know if the other structures are going to hold up. Because we do know the second part of this is going to be just as bad. So we are prepared for that. And we're just really hoping for the best, but we are staying safe. One thing a little here is that the generators work in the hotel, so we don't have power, but our cell service is down as well as the internet, and that's why we're talking to all of you right now from our satellite phone, and we're very happy that we're able to get in contact with all of you to let you know that we're okay, and of course let our families know that we're okay.
Right now, we want to turn things over to our Weather Authority team for the latest on Dorian.
Our Chief Certified Meteorologist, Betty Davis, and Hurricane Specialist Brian Norcross are both right there for you. Betty, let's begin with you.
Still a very powerful hurricane, maximum sustained winds at 185 miles per hour. And yes, it came across that area where Janice was with that same power. So if you're just getting home from work, and we can bring you up to speed on what's happening with Dorian. Slow moving still, crawling toward the west at 5 miles per hour, and it's 75 miles east of Freeport, Grand Bahama Island, Brian.
Not only moving at 5, it's down from 8 and then 7 and now 5, and we expect this to get to 2 and maybe even stall before it's done. It's moving due west now, and we can see this on the radar. We'll look close up in a second. But Betty, I know these outer rain bands, each one of these rain bands as you get closer to the storm will have gustier winds in them, but that's important for our local weather.
It is, and we've already had some of those gusty showers coming in today, and that's only going to ramp up moving into Monday and overnight into Tuesday. As the system gets closer to us, we're going to expect to experience more of those rain bands, and right now you can see how those gusty bands are wrapping all the way down, wrapping all the way around the storm down toward Andros Island.
So imagine taking this part and moving it over to right in here, which is more or less the forecast. So just take everything and move it this way, and what you'll see are these bands that you see in here coming over the east coast of Florida, right? And in those bands, the closer you get to the center, the closer you get to hurricane force winds and then extreme winds in those outer bands, with the worst of it being in the donut there, the eye wall right around the center. So that really helps us now that we have it in radar range. We really can get a good feel for it coming in. And there you see, Betty, we talked about the movement north and then back south a little bit, and now it's heading due west, unfortunately, directly for Grand Bahama.
Yeah, it is, and that back part of that eye wall, and it's all heading westward, getting back out mostly over water, for
Right.
at least for a little bit before it moves back into some land.
Right, and I think there was a little disruption from the high ground, but that tiny bit didn't affect the top wind. And here you can see the sun going down this way, casting a shadow on the...
Okay, you're watching continuing coverage of Hurricane Dorian live here on Channel 1 Atlanta this evening. It's just after 7 o'clock. We're going to switch now to Fox News with continuing coverage of this very dangerous and catastrophic storm.
Daytona police going door to door in several neighborhoods right now, urging residents to voluntarily evacuate. Daytona Beach Shores issuing a similar recommendation beachside, and Bethune-Cookman evacuating students from campus.
We expect to issue an evacuation order between noon on Sunday and noon on Monday.
As in the mandatory order countywide for the Barrier Islands. Flagler County also looking at that time frame to make that call.
So stay tuned for updates, because this really depends on Hurricane Dorian, which clearly has a mind of its own and is very unpredictable.
As always, some are vowing to ride it out, order or not. But Snyder and his family are not playing that game.
We're going to stay until we have to go. When they say we have to go, we have to go.
Because Dorian's actually slowed down a lot over the last couple of days, Volusia County is going to keep their beach access and their parks open until Saturday at 5 p.m. now, but then asking people to really back off after that. A lot of worry over flooding and that unknown storm surge that could be very, very big out here along the coast. In Daytona Beach, I'm Brian Scott, Fox 35 News.
Dorian starting to cause major travel issues. Orlando International Airport announcing it will close Monday morning. The airport is grounding flights starting at 2 a.m. Monday as Hurricane Dorian approaches. People who have flights need to check with their airline.
And schools are also closing because of the storm. Monday is a holiday, so already no school. On Tuesday, Orange, Seminole, Sumter, Osceola, and Brevard schools will stay closed. Lake and Polk County schools will be closed Tuesday and Wednesday.
Colleges also affected by the storm. Bethune-Cookman issuing a mandatory evacuation of campus. UCF, Daytona State College, Valencia College, and Full Sail all closing at 5 o'clock today, so that's done. They will stay shut down through Tuesday. Seminole State College closes at noon tomorrow and will be closed until further notice. Now, Fox 35 is your headquarters as Hurricane Dorian heads towards Central Florida. Stay up to date both on air and online for minute-by-minute updates. Just download our Fox 35 News app. It's free. Or go to fox35orlando.com.
Hurricane do's and don'ts.
Staying connected during the storm.
Fuel fear, long lines, and short supplies. Troopers now escorting gas tankers.
And high tide getting even higher. Get up to the minute.
And of course, that's the very latest from Fox 35 there in Florida. We'll go back to them here in just a few moments. This is continuing coverage. A very dangerous Hurricane Dorian right now, still tracking toward the west, has not made that turn yet. It is very crucial It is very, very important for this storm to turn toward the north, start making some sort of turn here in the coming hours, because if it does not, it's coming into Florida. So it's got to start turning, and we're seeing some little bitty signs of that right now. Typically in history, when you look back at hurricanes, when hurricanes slow down, they're getting ready to turn course. So this storm is now down to just tracking to the west at 5 miles per hour. Earlier at 5 o'clock it was 7, and before that it was 10. So it's starting to slow down. So hopefully this storm will begin tracking toward the northwest and eventually toward the north, as the computer models are saying it is, here within 24 hours. Because if it does not do it here in the next few hours, it will not have time to turn in time before it's gonna have to hit some portion of southeastern Florida. So the next few hours are very crucial if this storm is gonna follow the computer models and start turning toward the north. So we'll keep you updated on that. Now let's go back to station WPLG in Miami, Florida, as our live team coverage continues of this very dangerous storm.
Stuart, I'm Andrew Perez, Local 10 News.
Andrew, thank you.
Our team coverage moves now to West Palm Beach and Ross Palumbo.
He's live with how residents are getting ready for the storm. Ross.
Calvin and Nicole, here in Palm Beach County, it is getting real and serious. If you're worried about a power outage, take a look at this. FP&L staging 500 trucks here at the county fairgrounds, 1,000 personnel. And when it comes to shelters, they are gearing those up as well. Power poles, FP&L trucks, and gas tankers. All staging here, ready to roll, ready to restring lines after any damage Dorian wreaks. Rolling in on the other side of the Palm Beach County Fairgrounds, 96-year-old Doris Krokoff.
She's been through Andrew, we've been through Wilma.
As a veteran hurricane survivor, she knew to get to this special needs shelter fast.
I need the oxygen. The people here take such good care of you.
Nearly 500 will ride out the storm here.
It's been pretty organized.
It's the only shelter with medical care and reliable electricity for medical devices.
Absolutely the safest place to be because the storm has been unpredictable.
Miles away in Palm Beach Gardens,
Shelter time.
regular shelters also filling up as Dorian bears down.
Something new for me, but it's better to be safe than sorry.
Samantha Bryant deciding to come for the first time because of this hurricane's unpredictable path.
We never know where it's gonna go.
We're good, we're ready.
Organizers say you should be ready too, with 2 days worth of clothes, bedding, and 3 days worth of food.
Good population right now, very calm, getting settled in. So we're in a good spot.
And Doris Krokoff saying she's in a good spot too after riding out so many hurricanes and shelters before. Now, in just days, she's staring down another milestone.
I'm going to celebrate my birthday here. The whole crowd's going to say happy birthday to me.
All right, back live here on the other side of the Palm Beach County Fairgrounds. FP&L staging 500 trucks here, 1,000 people, and those shelters getting into gear as well. Now 9 of the 15 shelters are fully open. If you're in the evacuation zones, A and B, basically low-lying areas, mobile homes, or along the coast, get to them now. We'll keep you updated all night long. For now, though, that's the very latest live from West Palm Beach. Nicole and Calvin, back to you.
All right, Ross, thank you.
We also want to let you know that both Broward and Miami County schools will be closed on Tuesday. Schools were already closed for tomorrow due to the Labor Day holiday, but now students will not return to classes until Wednesday at the earliest.
Stay with Local 10 News for complete coverage as we continue to track Dorian.
South Florida still keeping a very close watch on the cones. Still ahead, the preparations being done in Broward County. We're coming right back.
Have that along with you as well. You can also get a couple of power cells and charge them up. Just
We're going to go back now to Fox 35 in Florida.
If you need to evacuate, or if you're going to stay home, head over to your refrigerator and find these controls. The freezer control and the refrigerator control. Turn them to their coldest settings. That's going to allow the refrigerator to dip down into its coldest temperatures, and if you don't open and close the door constantly, it will maintain a cool temperature, keeping your food longer
while the electricity is out.
This isn't all-encompassing, but it's a good start. In Lake Mary, I'm David Bowden, Fox 35 News.
Now, Fox 35 Weather Report with Chief Meteorologist Glenn Richards.
All right, good evening, everyone. Again, the big weather story late this evening compared to our earlier newscast. Now a Category 4 hurricane, major hurricane. We are expecting it to become a 4, but it's amped up about a day and a half than what was anticipated. But it's kind of not surprising because that is the most inaccurate portion of the Hurricane Center forecast is the intensity forecast. It's just so tough. The waters are nice and warm. The wind shear is eased up. High pressure's building on a north end. It's kind of squeezing it just a little bit, but again, it just goes to show how tight that wind is, and the reconnaissance aircraft was flying through it, and they are in and out constantly now. So many flights going in. Again, earlier this evening, the one flight came in, did its loop-de-loop through the eye twice. Here it comes. This is the actual track that it took, putting some drop zones in there and finding winds of about 140 miles per hour. So again, a powerful system, again, with the winds, again, amping up and now, again, moving towards the west. Water temperatures very warm, 82, 83, 85 degrees, so there's plenty of food out there right now. Winds, again, from the earlier advisory, 125 miles per hour, but we now know that, of course, based on the reconnaissance aircraft, again, those winds are stronger. Right now, we're expecting 130 to 140 mile per hour winds on and off. It'll go up 10, and sometimes you'll get a second eye wall to form. The winds will actually drop a little bit, then they'll pick right back up again. So that is normal for the hurricanes to do that. So it's going to kind of fluctuate in that 3 to 4 range. Right now, we're expecting it to move ashore landfall as we get into Tuesday afternoon, 2 p.m. Again, the middle of the air cone is right around Fort Pierce.
Okay, apparently that's some old information. We don't want to bring you that any longer. So let's go back to station WPLG live in Florida.
If it goes a little too quick, then it moves ashore and then starts to turn.
Grand Bahama, they got hit by Hurricane Matthew. They still have blue tarps on many homes there. And look at this. The sun is going down, but we can see the eye and the shadow from the high clouds around the eye on that funnel of the eye of the hurricane. Just
structurally stunning and beautiful, but a hurricane that is bringing so much catastrophe.
And more to come. All right, here's the size of the winds. Tropical storm force winds, 40-mile-an-hour winds, more or less, in the yellows. Hurricane force in the red. Hurricane force gusts in the orange. Now, watch as it comes forward.
Right, and this is the cone, and we have the wind filled atop the cone or inside the cone, and the takeaway is how the winds bleed outside of that, and depending on how close depends on how strong the winds will be. And we're going to be pretty close to the tropical storm force, it looks like, depending on the track.
Right, so this is why in Broward County there is a tropical storm watch for the possibility of tropical storm force winds because they're forecast to come so close. That's tomorrow afternoon. Here we go tomorrow evening. See how close they are to Broward, but they're actually over the coast up north, and that's why they have warnings in effect up there. And then overnight, tomorrow night, Tuesday morning, it's starting to pull away a little bit, and then during the day, it finally lets up. But what are you saying, by afternoon?
Right, exactly.
Better by afternoon.
Better by afternoon,
Yeah.
that is for sure.
All right, so here's the cone, and here are the wind speeds. Look at this. Category 5, Category 4 hurricane over the Bahamas, finally pulling away here. This is Tuesday afternoon, moving on up to the north. So we've got another day and a half to go here in South Florida, and then it's points north of here. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Betty and Brian.
Well, the Bahamas continue to take a pounding from Dorian right now, and video is still streaming into our Local 10 newsroom.
Will Manso has a look at the images we're receiving. He's in the video port with more.
Nicole Kawi, we're getting a lot of those images behind me here at the video port via feeds, via social media, via our crew there on the ground as well. And as you can imagine, it is very dramatic video. We begin some of that video with maybe some of the most heartbreaking, difficult video to watch that includes a mom, her family, and her young child having to look at all the devastation around them.
Please pray for us. Please pray for us, everyone. Please pray for us. Me and my baby, everyone that stay in the apartment building, we stuck right here. Please pray for us. And I see y'all, please. Baby, pray for us. Pray for Abigail, please. I'm begging y'all. My baby's on the 4 of us on, please.
This dramatic video of a family trapped with a small child in an apartment complex surrounded by water.
I'm begging y'all, pray for us.
It was so difficult to hear the desperation in her voice. These are just some of the first videos coming out of the Abaco Islands in the Bahamas, showing the devastation.
This is my neighbor.
Much of it via social media from residents who are riding out the storm. High winds, flooding, and the sheer destruction of property.
But it looks like the cell service.
Our Local 10 crew, led by Janice Fernandez, has been on the ground there in Abaco Islands through it all, from before those high winds really started to kick in.
When the eye comes.
Seeking shelter for a brief period of time, and then being able to report again as the eye wall passed through.
Oh my goodness. Okay, we hear people yelling for help. There's a lot of water on this side of the hotel. There's a lot of water here. I don't even know if we. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're on the other side of the hotel, and right now we even see rushing water. I don't know if. Are they the ones who need help? Are they the ones? They're okay? Okay. Okay, we hear faint screams. I'm walking with hotel staff right now to try to see where this yelling is coming from to make sure these people are okay. Do you see them? Okay, there's so much water on this side of the property. I was not expecting this at all. I really was not.
All of that drama playing out in real time there with Janice reporting live. Again, that was during the eye wall portion of Dorian going through there at Abaco Island. She then seeks shelter again with our photographer Brian Eli, and since then we haven't heard from them as far as any kind of reporting, because as Brian and Betty have been reporting the entire afternoon and evening now, that second wave of the storm so powerful as well after the eye. So as soon as we hear from Janice and Brian, they will bring the latest from the report. And Calvin and Nicole, I also want to mention that family we saw, that young child, 4 months old, as the mom was pleading for help. We saw some video later of them. They appeared to be fine there as that eye wall passed through. But again, after that second wave going in, there's no, at this point, understanding of what happened after that, if they did get help, if were they able to seek higher ground or a different area. So again, these are all things we're following and we'll continue to bring in here to our newsroom.
A round one, and then there was a round two. Will Mansell Life Force in the video report. Will, thanks a lot, and we do have an update on Janice. At least we know that she was in a bunker, and we're hoping to hear from her again.
Yeah, and she has been communicating with our ABC station, so we're waiting, and as soon as we do hear from Janice, we will be sure to let you know.
Our team coverage moves now to West Palm Beach and our own Ross Palumbo.
He's live with how residents are getting ready for the storm there. Ross.
Well, Calvin and Nicole, Palm Beach County taking this very seriously now as Dorian gets even closer. And if you're worried about power outages, this should